This is Gareth Southgate, and this is the Three Lions podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Three Lions podcast. My name is Russell Osborne, and this, of course, is an independent England football supporters podcast. Well, here we are. Since we last spoke, in England, we now find ourselves out of lockdown, but in a high state of tieredness. Dare I say it, nonsense. Although, I don't know, perhaps nonsense is the wrong word for it. Seeing as some of us will have been able to attend top-flight football for the first time since March. A sense of normality, dare I say it. And with the recent news of vaccines, let's hope this continues into the new year, towards March time, and then in time for the Euros. Now, as someone who's been known to faint at the sight of needles coming near me, I'm getting a little optimistic about going now, as he rolls up his sleeve. Anyway, we'll worry about that nearer the time. So the last episode was a preview to the World Cup draw, and we also spoke with Hugo Malim about his first away game. It's still available to listen to via your preferred download place or threelionspodcast.com. Thank you, as always, for your continued support. Now this episode, we'll double up again. We'll chat with CJ Joyner about the great stuff Block 109 have been doing recently, and also reflect on that World Cup draw with Aidan Smith from threelions.net. Whereabouts are we going? Let's start, though, with CJ. Okay, always good to have CJ Joyner back with us on the podcast. CJ, you well?
I'm all good, thank you, Russ. How are you?
Yes, very good, thank you. We spoke fairly regularly over the past year, obviously talking England and probably more recently about Block 109, haven't we?
We have, yeah.
So Block 109, I mean, obviously is a supporters area within Wembley, but for those that maybe don't know, you've been doing some fundraising over the past 6 months?
Yeah, I think we're about 7 months in now. We've raised probably pushing $3,000 so far, I would say. We've made 2 donations. One of them was back in April to the NHS Together's charity. That was just over £1,000.
Wow.
And then the one that we've just made was $1,250 to Calm, which is the campaign against living miserably. And they fall under the Heads Up, Heads Together, whichever way around that might be. I can never remember.
I think it's Heads Up, isn't it?
Yeah. So it falls under that campaign, which is Prince William's campaign. The FA are backing it. And I don't know if you remember, I think it was back in the FA Cup, maybe 3rd round. We everyone kicked off kind of a minute later, just so you could have stand and have a minute to think.
That was right. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and I mean, they seem like all the causes on there seem fantastic, but Calm seemed as good as any, and we decided that we'd donate to them, and hopefully the money will go a little way to helping them.
Oh, that's fantastic news for a little project that started, say, 6-7 months ago to be able to raise that sort of money in such a short space of time to 2 great charities is highly commendable. So yeah, well done to you guys. Well done, everyone who contributes to the Block 109 fundraising. And it doesn't stop there, does it? It's a continuous rolling thing.
Absolutely, yeah. And I must say just a big thank you to everyone that's taken part, everyone that's donated prizes, because that does help. Having a bonus, I think there's only been 1 month so far where we haven't had a bonus prize. There's been phone cases, there's been shirts, there's been all sorts of different things. And also the people that have done the draw, from, award-winning journalists, a random guy I found on the beach,
oh yeah,
to, the nation's premier podcast host, so we get all sorts of people in to do it.
You're too kind. Yeah. So yeah, basically it's £5 a month, and you stand a chance of, maybe a prize or winning What's it? £5, £10, £15? Is that right?
It's 5, 15 and 25 at present. But if we've always said that if we get 50, the top prize will go up a little bit.
50 contributors.
Yeah, well, 50 contributors in a particular month. We've just sold our 51st number, but every month we probably average around 43, 44 a month, something like that. Not everybody does it every month, which is fine. It's not a major problem. So yeah, some people have taken a month or so off and come back into it. So again, that's fine, no problem whatsoever.
Great stuff. At this time of year, obviously, and the year we've had, it's always good just to give a little, but only if you can.
Absolutely,
yeah. So good luck, and I'm sure we'll talk more about that in the next year. And yeah, if people do want to take part, they can find Block 109 on Twitter or yourself as well, can't they?
They can, yeah. My Twitter is CJ_CovBlaze. And with regards to the funding, there's a few things that we've got in mind in the run up to the Euros, involving maybe some sponsored walks, sponsored runs, sponsored cycles, maybe. And if anybody's got any ideas of how that's kind of themed around the Euros, please feel free to get in touch, because any kind of contribution would help with regards to the ideas.
No, great stuff. All sounds very good, very positive. Well, it is an England podcast, and we usually do get our heads together at Wembley or on away games. Hasn't been able to happen this year, unfortunately, for obvious reasons. But this past year on the England front, how do you look at that?
A mixed bag, really, isn't it? Beat the number one team in the world, and also gave them a good game as well. And we had a go at them, didn't we? In that second game. So I mean, you can't really say much about the Wales and Ireland games. It was a procession, really, wasn't it? It wasn't. They weren't particularly taxing those games. I think potentially if they had scored, which could have. I think we would have had to play all night for that to happen. But if they had scored, I think we probably would have gone out and scored maybe one or two more. We would have got into second or third gear rather than just being in first gear. There are some positives to take out of the year. I think that win against Belgium, the emergence of Grealish, Saka. I mean, Barkley playing with Grealish, he looked really good. I think he only played one game.
Would that be the Iceland or the Denmark game? I guess would it have been?
I can't remember which game it was, but I mean, he seemed to link really well with Grealish, and obviously that's going to be good for the Villa as well. So, which doesn't necessarily suit us all, does it? But either way, I mean, as I said, it's not just about him. You've got Foden was, Mount and Saka, the way how they've come into the side and look really, really, really good. Trippier looks as good as he's ever been. And I would say he's become our first choice right back now. And I know not everybody might agree with that, but I would have him in the team ahead of Wan-Bissaka, ahead of Alexander-Arnold, ahead of Walker in that position. Yeah, I'd have him in there every single time.
Back end of last year, obviously, when we'd beaten Montenegro and we'd beaten Kosovo, we knew we were going to the Euros this year, which was the original plan. We were all high on optimism, weren't we? All thinking, yes, we can. If we don't get to the semi-finals, it's been a bit of a disaster. I mean, based on these past, what have we played? 8 games this year. Has that optimism slightly changed for you for next year?
You can't really read too much into them. Let's be honest. I mean, the win we had against Belgium, I thought we played very well. The end of the day, that goal, another time it would have sailed straight, miles over the bar off the deflection. And then, as I said, we've played Iceland twice, played Denmark twice, Belgium twice, and then the 2 non-events against Wales and Ireland, really, that we just, as I said before, we battered them. You can't really take much from any of those games into the Euros. You can't really look at them and think, okay, that you can't get an indication of how we're going to play, at what formation we're going to play, or how we're going to do from that. There's positives, there's negatives to take out of them. I do think that if we would have been sat here after playing in the tournament in the summer, going out before the semis, I would have been very disappointed. Yeah. And let's face it, if we get to the semi-finals, we're at Wembley for both games. We're at home, and we're going to be disappointed if we don't win it then.
Yes, yeah. Well, we shall see. Obviously, World Cup draw is coming up, and we're going to be talking about that very soon. But who would you fancy?
Anywhere where we ain't been, really.
Yeah.
I'd love to go to somewhere like Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan. That'd be fantastic, going somewhere like that. Somewhere a bit different. I can just see it. I think it's possible to get either. I think it's Scotland or Ireland and Wales. I think, or we're actually able to get two of those three. I think, and you can just see it, can't you? We're going to end up getting the two of those three. But yeah, what can you do? It's a random draw. Belarus would be fantastic. I went through Belarus twice during the World Cup, and I didn't actually set foot on Belarusian soil. I've got stamps in my passport for it, but it was on the train, and we were asleep most of the time.
Oh yeah,
so.
if you haven't been to the toilet or had a beer there, it doesn't count, I think, is what they say.
I may have gone to the toilet actually there. Yeah. So yeah. But still, it's I'd love to go to somewhere like that. The more off the wall, the better. Really, I mean, we had it last time with Kosovo. Let's have some more of that.
Yeah, let's hope so. We'll find out very soon. CJ, thank you very much as always, and yeah, let's speak in the new year.
No problem.
So, that World Cup draw conducted on Monday, the 7th of December. Once all the chat was done, Hami Yaza, director of FIFA tournaments, conducted the draw with the dramatic music. Obviously all virtual at this time. No jolly up for the national managers. No trips to Switzerland for them all. But joining me to mull it all over is Aidan Smith from 3lions.net. Aidan, hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you.
Cool. Good to have you back on the show.
Yeah, it was good being on the first time back in October, I think it was.
Yeah, we looked at was it the Wales game?
It was.
Cool. Yeah. How have you been since then? How's 3lionsnet going?
Yeah, it's good. Obviously, a lot of the autumn was taken up with match reports and squad announcements and things like that. But now we're able to. Last week I was able to get my full year review. Although, was it a full year? I don't really know what you can call that.
3 months worth, really, wasn't it?
3 months, yeah. But now we'll get some good time for some feature articles out before the March qualifiers.
Good stuff. Yeah, well, we'll keep tabs on 3lions.net and see how things are going on there. Looking forward to that. So the World Cup draw. I mean, to me, I think I've said this many a time before. I love the draws, be it the World Cup draws, be it for the finals, the Euros, the qualifying draws. I don't know. It's just something about it. The anticipation of knowing who you're going to be playing, and the anticipation of hopefully being able to go to various places in the world. But at the moment, we just don't know. So initially, England, we were drawn from pot one with all the seeded teams, and immediately we were placed in a 6-team group I. Pulling the balls was former Italian midfielder Daniele De Rossi and Dutchman Rafael van der Vaart. They were in charge of opening the balls, pulling them out, and basically showing us all the names. No dramas, though, was there? No one got anything wrong. It all seemed to go pretty smoothly, didn't it?
No, you always look for some sort of mistake there as a bit of entertainment, but no, it was pretty smooth.
It was, yeah, all over in 20 minutes. There was no dancing, no singing, and as yet, at the point we are speaking shortly after the draw, we've got no dates as to when the games will be played yet. I'm sure we'll find those out in due course, obviously. But yeah, well, let's cut to the chase. Group I features ourselves, top seed, Poland, Hungary, Albania, Andorra, and San Marino. Go on, you start us off. What do you think of that draw initially?
Well, my first look, and I was actually really pleased because too often now it seems in recent years we've had some pretty easy groups, and you're never going to get an extremely challenging group in qualifying, but this is towards the more challenging zone, I guess. A lot of very defensive-minded teams in there who we will struggle to break down, especially Albania and Poland I'm looking at there. And Hungary can cause a threat going forward, as can Poland with Lewandowski, we've seen.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of looked at it slightly different, and I'm probably from, as I say, when a draw comes out, I'm excited about places to go, new places to see. And I've been, Poland, been there, Andorra, San Marino, I've seen England play there. Hungary and Albania, yes, they sound exciting to me. And I've seen Albania's new ground as well, and we'll touch on that soon. But you think it'll be a slightly harder group, do you?
Well, in comparison to what we've had in recent years, I mean, one of the ones recently, I can't remember, I think it might have been 2016 or possibly 2018 qualifying. We won all of our games. And to me, obviously you want to win every game, but when you do it that easily, it just seems like a bit of a waste. And although it's a chance to try out some players, you want some teams that are going to give you similar tests to what you'll get in the tournaments.
Right. We've been going through the motions, do you think?
Yeah.
I'm looking at it, I'm thinking initially Poland away will be the hardest of all of them. I can see where you're coming maybe with Hungary away. Home games at Wembley, we've got to be looking at winning all of them. And obviously by your Andorras and San Marino by some convincing margins. I wouldn't be surprised if we went through this group unbeaten and possibly won them all.
Yeah, well, that's the main aim now, isn't it? It's not about qualifying because, we take it for granted because, we have the ability to, given how good a team we are in qualifying. Our recent record is absolutely fantastic. So the aim will be to win every game, and it's going to be hard. I mean, Poland only 4 countries conceded less goals than Poland in Euro 2020 qualifying, which is, quite impressive. And we need to be able to find the ways to break them down. And is the new formation the formation that's going to do that? We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, the Andorra, San Marino, I mean, they possibly are games that we can look at. If we're not going to win them 5, 6, 7, 8-0, then maybe they're games that we can use as experimental games with players.
Well, that's what you'll look at, really. And, there was always the option of being in that 1 5-team group where you get, 2 friendlies partway through the campaign, which is something that I, in particular, didn't really want. I wanted those experimental games to try out some younger players, some of the players, on the fringe of the squad, really. Yeah, that's what we got. And we've had Andorra and San Marino recently, and, they're not teams that are going to challenge. They're not teams that are going to score necessarily. So you can, I don't want to say you can kind of be patient, because we don't want to watch patient football for 90 minutes, but, you can play some of the players who aren't starters and give them a bit of experience. Yeah,
I agree. I think that's probably what will happen. Although it may depend on when the games fall. And at the moment, we're still yet to know that. But let's go through them individually. Poland, the history on it. We've played Poland 19 times. We've won 11, drawn 7. We've lost the 1. Interestingly, we have played them 12 times out of those 19 in World Cup qualifiers. Won 7 out of 12, drawn 4, lost 1. Most recently, we played them back in 2012-13. The away leg, likely to be played in Warsaw at the National Stadium. I think it's a bit of research. It's known as the PGE Narodowy Stadium, and it's a stadium that was used in Euro 2012. That was Poland and Ukraine, Euro 2012, and it's a stadium that many England fans will remember for being one that where it absolutely chucked it down there, and they didn't close the roof, and the game was postponed. Do you remember that one?
I do remember. I'd just come home from a football match at my primary school, actually.
Oh, right.
And I was all excited to watch the game, and it had to be postponed. And actually postponing it for 24 hours, and we didn't get the performance we wanted anyway. It was a 1-1 draw, and a pretty lousy one at that.
Yeah. So my memories of that one were I was there, and no one really knew what was going on. Players were kicking the ball around. Ball wasn't going anywhere. The referee and his linesman would come out occasionally, throw the ball. It would bounce. It would stop dead. And then people all around knew basically it wasn't happening. It was still chucking it down. Yeah, eventually it came up on the big screen. Match cancelled, match postponed. Come back tomorrow with whatever sort of ticket you may have, which basically 99% of people's ticket was just a green and white mush. But I had to go home, frustratingly. I didn't actually see the game in full. I got home just in time for kickoff. So yeah, hopefully they close the roof or it just doesn't rain. But
let's hope.
Yeah, but I mean, many more people will remember of the older generation bring back memories of 1973 with the goalkeeper Jan Tomaweski, I think he was called, or as Brian Clough called him, the Clown.
Yeah, I think your pronunciation's much better than mine on that one. But yeah, that game was what can be said, really. I mean, our one loss to Poland, I think it is, and that's what a horrible time to get it. Yeah,
and that prevented us from qualifying for the 1974 World Cup. But yeah, looking forwards, I mean, so you've already mentioned him now, Robert Lewandowski from Bayern Munich. He's an unbelievable talent, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. And I mean, he's broken the record for the most amount of goals in a single World Cup qualifying campaign, which was the last one for 2018. He got 16 goals. Which is quite formidable, really.
Yeah, and I think he scores quite a lot in the Champions League as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he scores in any game he plays in, really. He's just, in many's opinion, probably the best striker in the world, and certainly last year he was on course for a Ballon d'Or had there been one, I think.
Yeah, he's certainly the one to look out for. I've got to be honest, I don't think I can, off the top of my head, pick up many more Polish players.
Well, I can remember a lot of the ones that we played back in 2012, 2013. A lot of them actually were playing for Dortmund at the time. They had quite a big Polish demographic there. But yeah, it seems that their main kind of that generation is getting on a bit and well into their 30s now. So it'll be interesting to see whether they're going to have a bit of youth coming through or whether they'll try and ooze the last bits of talent out of that generation.
Well, that could be beneficial for us then, really. We shall see. Hungary, again, like Poland, a team I don't know a great deal about their players, if I'm brutally honest. But going back through the history, played 22, won 15, drawn 2, lost 5. Out of those 22 games, only 2 have been World Cup qualifiers. Back in 1981, the last time we met was a friendly at Wembley, 2010, where we won. I've got to be honest, I can't remember that one off the top of my head. Now, this one away, likely to be played in the Puskás Arena. Of course, Puskás, the famous Hungarian. By all accounts, it's a new stadium over there, only finished at the end of 2019. So I'm not even sure if that would have actually had a game yet. And I know about Budapest, but I've never been. But that's on the Pest side of Budapest. 67,500 capacity. So England fans likely to get a decent allocation there.
Yeah, definitely. And we love the away games, don't we? Especially in those kind of hostile environments. It's interesting what you just said. Again, I don't really know how that game will really fare, to be honest with you, because, we haven't played them competitively since 1983, I believe. So it's kind of difficult to know how that one will play out, really.
Yeah, I probably should have looked at some of their Nations League action that the likes of Hungary and Albania have done. But we'll look at that some other time. Albania, played 4, won 4. I mean, chances are by the time we play Albania, it's going to be played 6-1-6, I'd like to think. Amazingly, in those 4 times, they have all been World Cup qualifiers, which is a little odd stat there. Most recently in 2001, where we won 2-0 up at Newcastle. Before that, back in 1989. Now, Albania in Tirana, I stopped off there before Kosovo last year, and they've got a brand new stadium. And I think it's probably like the Puskás Arena. It's probably hasn't even been used, or it's only been used the once, because I think whilst we were playing Kosovo, Albania were playing France over there, and it's a strange ground. I don't know if you've seen pictures of this, but if you were to look at it from the outside, you probably wouldn't have a clue it's a football stadium. It's made of like multicolored glass windows, and it's got these strange, want to say turrets either side of it, but it's only 22,500 capacity. So I don't know, probably, I don't know, we might get about 1,500, 2,000 there at a push. Yeah, Tirana. I like Albania there. I've been a couple of times. I like Tirana. So that'd be an interesting one. I don't know if you've got any notes on Albania.
Well, I do know a few of their players, and mainly it's their defence that excites me. And their goalkeeper in particular, Berisha, I mean, you could put him in most European sides and he wouldn't look out of place. I mean, he's quite remarkable. I think a lot of the Albanian players have either played or do play in the Italian league. A few of them, I think, are at Atalanta. Okay. And getting regular game time as well. I mean, Hisai, the right back, is another one to watch out for. They've got some good defenders there, so it's going to be interesting. Firstly, to see what formation they play. I'm not aware of what formation they play. I'm assuming it would be a 4 at the back, looking at the players they've got. But again, how are we going to break them down? We're going to need to figure something out to get past them.
Yeah,
could be a similar test to the Iceland game.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And the last two, no disrespect to the people of Andorra or San Marino, but these two were two I really wasn't hoping for. Just personally, because I've seen England play at both of them, and I know as we've sort of touched on there, they're going to be wins for England, aren't they? Andorra played 4, 1-4 World Cup qualifying. We've played them twice and we've won twice, which was in fact the last time we met back in 2008, 2009, which was. Now, this is a strange one, isn't it? Because I know that Andorra, they've got their own stadium, which is the Estadi Nacional, but it's only 3,300, which will be interesting as to whether we play there or whether we'll play where we played the previous two, which was in Barcelona's Olympic Stadium or Espanyol's old ground, because you would think a precedent has been set, hasn't there?
Yeah, I've been to Andorra and I've seen their new stadium and their old stadium. It could be, it could be that we play the match in Spain or right on the edge of France. I don't know, but yeah, as you say, it's going to be a win in Andorra. It's going to be a win at Wembley, or whether we're on the road in England, which would be nice to see as well if there are fans back. It's going to be wins against both of those two teams. I mean, I remember those games back in qualification for 2010 against Andorra, the first of which was, I think, the opener of that group, and we could only put 2 past them, which was quite embarrassing. But we demolished them 6-0 at home, which put the wrongs right.
Yeah, I mean, my memories of Andorra, another wet one, to be honest. I think that was the first 2007. I think is when we went to Barcelona there, chucked it down, which would have been Steve McLaren era, and also songs sung about Satanta, the Irish TV broadcaster, which many will remember. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where that's played. I think with the amount of England fans they know that will make the journey with or without tickets, they'll move that. It won't be played in Andorra. I would quite happily put some money on that one. But one game that probably will be played in its home venue is San Marino, Stadio Olimpico di Serravalle. Yeah, been there a couple of times. Just on the outside of Rimini in Italy. San Marino played 6-1-6, and 4 of those have been World Cup qualifiers, including the famous one in '93, where San Marino scored after 7-8 seconds. Yeah. But the most recent one was 2015, a 6-0 European Championships qualifier. San Marino, what do you know about San Marino?
I used to know quite a few players, which is rather embarrassing knowledge from me there. Yeah, I was a bit of a San Marino enthusiast back in the day when we kept drawing them in qualifying. Right. But it's going to be an absolute trouncing, isn't it? Home and away. Again, another chance to try out some players. I don't know whether, their team back then was quite old. So again, they're going to have some younger players now. I don't know if they've still got the same manager. They used to have a primary school PE teacher as their manager. So I don't know if that's, and a lot of their players were, semi-pro, so bank accountants and things like that. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see.
Yeah, and I remember San Marino as well. Plenty of people who didn't have tickets were seen up in the hills, in amongst the trees, watching that one. So, yeah, I mean, the group, Poland, obviously the hardest of opponents. We get a draw there over in Poland. And I don't know, I don't want to sound big-headed, but I'd like to see... I think we could win every other game that we play in that group and come top. If we don't qualify, then heads are going to roll, quite frankly, and I can see you screwing your face up. I think you agree.
Yeah, I do. I think even the away game against Poland, we should be looking to win that. That's, these are the kind of games that we need to win if we want to be the best side in the world. We've had numerous draws, disappointing draws in away matches against some of these big sides in qualifying in the last, 6, 7, 8 years. And we need to kind of cut that out now. And I think the team that we've got now is starting to become, a winning team and an established team on the world stage. And we need to be able to tear these teams down, home or away.
Yeah. Yep. Well, the match days when these games are going to be played, March next year will be match days 1 to 3. Then, of course, we've got the Euros between June and July. September will be match day 4 to 6. October, match day 7 to 8. November, match day 9 to 10. And, well, hopefully we don't need it. But there will be playoffs, and there'll be March 2022. And, of course, the World Cup Qatar will be a December or late November, early December Christmas tournament, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not too sure how I feel about that. Not least because we have to wait longer. But yeah, it's going to be a weird one. Whenever it happens, I think it's supposed to be from late November until mid-December, which will be interesting. But yeah, it's definitely going to be different as a Winter World Cup for sure.
Well, I mean, if you consider it as it is now, we're talking on the day of the draw, basically in 2 years' time, we will be having a World Cup now. So that's how it will be. Taking
exactly.
I'm still not overly convinced by it. I have to be honest. Okay, so that's England's draw. I think we're both on the same page. We think we're going to go through that. It's just whether we'll remain unbeaten. Put it that way. Let's quickly have a look at some of the other draws that take fancy. Group A. Portugal, Serbia, Republic of Ireland, Luxembourg and Azerbaijan. Portugal, Nations League winners, likely to go through that one, I reckon. Would you say?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Portugal are some of the favourites, one of the favourites to actually lift the trophy next year, aren't they? And with qualifiers just sandwiching around the Euros, you don't expect it to be any different for those games.
Yeah, and it was the Group A, B, C, and D. Well, they feature Portugal, Spain, Italy. Group B, C, D, and E are all 5-team groups because they feature the Nations League finalists, which are Spain, Italy, France, Belgium. Group B was Spain, Sweden, Greece, Georgia, and Kosovo. Spain and Sweden fighting it out on that one, but I think we'd expect Spain to go through.
Yeah, definitely.
Group C, Italy, Switzerland, Northern Ireland, Bulgaria, Lithuania. Italy, Switzerland, neighbours. Northern Ireland been doing relatively well recently. Possibility that they could nick a playoff place, maybe?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, it's difficult because Switzerland are another team on good form again. And, Italy are really coming through now with their young generation. So I don't see Northern Ireland getting a top 2 finish in that, but for sure they can challenge to take at least a point off some of those games against Switzerland and Italy.
Yeah. Group D, France, of course, World Cup holders, Ukraine, Finland, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Kazakhstan. A few Eastern trips for the likes of France and Finland there. Ukraine and Kazakhstan, they're quite a distance.
Yeah, and I think there were a few teams actually that couldn't be in the same group for travel reasons. I think they were explaining at the beginning of the draw. It's interesting actually remembering that group now as you've just said it. I mean, France beat Ukraine 7-1 the other month, which is a really strange reality to be faced with when they are the top two teams in that group.
That's true. Yeah, good. Well remembered that one. Yeah, I'd forgotten about that. Group E, Belgium, Wales, Czech Republic, Belarus and Estonia. Wales ahead of Czech Republic there, which, I mean, could we see Wales battling for a playoff place? Or
that, I think, is possibly going to be one of the tightest races for the spot in all of the groups, actually. Wales versus the Czech Republic. I don't know who I'd put my money on that one. Czech Republic, obviously, in England's group for the Euros. They were able to beat England at home in qualifying. But I really don't know. Wales, another team who have some really good youngsters coming through.
Yeah. And there was, of course, the possibility of the home nations potentially being drawn against each other, but it didn't happen because Group F, Denmark were drawn with Austria, Scotland, Israel, the Faroe Islands and Moldova. Scotland, they've been to Faroe Islands before, and I seem to remember a lot of them took the boat because it's not too far from them.
No, it's not. It's not too far at all. And actually, that group is really up for grabs, isn't it? To be honest, Scotland have a huge chance of getting through there. I mean, Austria, probably one of the worst sides of the pot two teams, you could say, in their current form, and Scotland, having qualified now for the Euros, you could really see them challenging for a second place finish behind Denmark, I think it is.
Yeah, they've got a bit of momentum, haven't they, Scotland? Whether it'll be enough, I'm not convinced. Group G, the Netherlands, Turkey, Norway, and Montenegro, Latvia, and Gibraltar. Seems like a bit of a Eurovision sort of mix up that one there. I think we'd expect the Dutch to come through that one.
Yeah, we would. I mean, Holland, one of the most exciting teams in Europe at the moment, aren't they? It was actually remarkable. I really thought that they would top their Nations League group, but obviously Italy getting the win. I think they won away 1-0 to Holland. I'm not too sure on that one. And Turkey, another team on fantastic form, one of their golden generations for sure since probably 2002 or something like that.
Yeah, they were the semi-finalists then, weren't they? Turkey. Group H, this one, the flag nerd in me, I picked up on this because when FIFA were putting up the nations, obviously their flags were there. Group H, Croatia, Slovakia, Russia, Slovenia are all red, white, and blue bands across in their flag, and then they pulled out Cyprus and Malta, which just threw the whole thing out of kilter. But yeah, Croatia, Slovakia, Russia, that'd be interesting. I'm not sure who I'd pick. Croatia, as we know and have spoken about, are a bit of an aging side, as we've spoken about ahead of next year's Euros. Could be up for grabs, that one.
It could be, and you know, do you really class Croatia as a top European side now? I'm not sure. I think their time might have gone with a lot of retirements after the World Cup. I was pleased, to be quite honest, with Slovakia being drawn in that group because it looked for a minute as though they were going to be in our group once again. And we like a bit of variety. So, yeah, it was good to see them drawn out. But that, again, is another group up for grabs.
Yeah, absolutely. We've mentioned Group I, but the last one, Group J, Germany, Romania, Iceland, North Macedonia, Armenia, and Liechtenstein. Again, I think we're looking at Eurovision names there, but I mean, Germany aren't exactly on fire, really, aren't they? They're not the force that we often think they are.
No, it seems like it's draw after draw after draw for Germany at the moment, especially in the Nations League. You've got to admire their front three of Werner, Sane and Gnabry at the moment. That's quite a lethal front three. But defensively, they're all over the place at the moment. They're in a real transition period.
Yeah, let's not forget that it was Spain that beat them 6-0 as well in that Nations League group. But you can't imagine a World Cup without Germany, though, can you?
No, and I don't think we're going to get one given the teams they've got in that group. Iceland are going to bed in quite a bit there, and I think it was Romania as well, was it not?
Yeah,
Romania as well. Not a team that's really going to challenge for you know a win or even a draw against Germany in either fixture.
So basically, I think we're saying that all the top seeds will go through. Really, I think is what we're saying. And I don't know, is there an ulterior motive for FIFA seeding it like that? I don't know. Do they obviously want all the best nations at the World Cup? I don't know. Is it a fair way of doing it?
I think it's probably the most fair way of doing it. You'd have to say. I mean, otherwise you've got some sort of risk of having, quite a few of the top ranked sides in the same group and none getting through, which is often what you can see actually in the finals itself. So you run that risk as well if you don't do it this way. And yeah, I think, as I say, it's probably the best system that you've got really to do that. And coming up, I think after Qatar, we've got, where is it? Is it in America and Mexico? Am I right?
That'll be the next World Cup, but between that, we've got the European Championships in Germany.
Yeah, but for the World Cup, I think they're increasing it to 48 teams now, which means that 3 additional European teams will get to go to the World Cup.
Yeah, so that'll be this one is 13 teams, so we're saying 16 European teams will be in the 2026 World Cup. Interesting times. Aidan, thank you very much for your time as always. Have yourself have a great Christmas and a new year, and let's speak again.
Yeah, absolutely. I really enjoy it. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks to CJ and Aidan for joining me there. You can find them both on Twitter. CJ is CJ_Covblaze and Aidan is Aidan27 Smith, and he writes at 3lions.net, and Aidan is AIDAN. So Aidan with an A. Thank you very much for listening. Always appreciated. You can always get involved by just dropping me a line on Twitter, Facebook, or email 3linespodcast@gmail.com, and we'll arrange something. Now, the next episode, I think we'll catch up with an American England fan. And if you subscribe, then I hope you can join me for it. Until then, look out for each other. And if you're lucky enough to get to a game, enjoy it. Cheers.